everyone, and welcome back to the show. I never really imagined it coming back quite like this, but we'll see how things go. And I've got a smudge on my glasses also, just as I'm trying to talk to you. So, I've been hearing lately that there are people who are apparently somehow upset about the fact that Ghost Rider is not sitting on a motorcycle for the new upcoming appearance in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I will say that there are some very obvious reasons why he isn't on a motorcycle on this particular instance, but seeing as I've got to prove my Ghost Rider geekiness cred. So during the 70s and 80s, we had Johnny Blaze, who is the original Ghost Rider. I say original because he's the one that holds the mantle most often during Marvel Comics. There was a previous Ghost Rider, but he was a gun-toting cowboy, and he was later renamed to something else. Johnny Blaze would hold this mantle until the 80s, when he was finally released from being combined with the demon Zerthos, which allowed him to become the Ghost Rider, but was also gaining more and more power and trying to will himself to not be part of Johnny. He managed to capture both him and a immortal into a soul gem, and the soul gem apparently fell into the hands of Mephisto. So what happened to the Rider and the immortal from there? We don't know, but there are stories. Hence, the sequel series. During the early 90s, Danny Ketch became the new Ghost Rider. Happening upon a magical motorcycle, Danny accidentally touched a gas cap and became the new Ghost Rider. This actually, unlike the previous Rider, actually changed his clothes and not just his physical appearance. As when he changed, he would change into a skeletal rider with a leather jacket with spikes and gray denim pants, and also matching leather boots. And also was given the ability not only to use the mystical fire chains, which helped wield hellfire, but also gave him the new ability to do the Penance Stare, a ability that will allow the person that he used it upon to relive all of the pain they've actually given to others throughout their entire lifetime. And so, moving this along very quickly, there's a connection between Danny and Johnny. I won't go too deep into it because if we do Danny, I would actually like to do those comic books instead of giving you all the spoilers ahead of time. Needless to say that they met each other, Blaze helped him, Danny held him back, and Danny was at least temporarily separated from the Ghost Rider for a while. But inevitably in a sequel with Spider-Man, I think it was, he actually got the abilities back again. Then we fast forward to the more modern era in 2006. After a series of couple specials, one bad one and a couple of actual decent ones, Johnny Blaze was finally set for a return to being his own book again, and came back as the titular Ghost Rider. He accidentally frees Satan in the first issue onto Earth, who then explodes into 666 pieces of himself and inhabits the recently deceased. Which, depending upon how you view time and how it supposedly progresses in the Marvel Universe, means that there's probably a lot of dead people somewhere. And that's what Satan does. Inhabiting several different villains as well as a couple of normal dead humans, Satan goes about trying to trick Johnny into several different traps. But we're not going to delve too deep into the whole story on this. Just that Johnny came back, and halfway through, Danny comes back with some odd things about him, and we are then given further explanations as we go further into it. And also, it all culminates in a huge event for the Ghost Riders themselves, as there's a whole slew of things going on all at once, and it's really big, character-developing, character-important stuff, just for the writers in particular, but also might have some slight effects on the universe around them. Needless to say, after everything is said and done, Johnny has been refused with Zerthos, although he seems to be in far more control of the demon than he used to be, but he still feels that being combined with the demon has put a constant strain on his life, and he hates every bloody moment of it, because he can't seem to ever do things the way he wants to do it. He has to do it the way the demon inside of him more or less wants things to be done. If he wants to, like, physically manhandle bad guys and stuff, he would rather do it by himself, but it seems that physically, he's capable of all of his stunt biking and everything, but he doesn't seem to be emotionally or physically as capable to handle things like he used to, like bar brawls and so forth. To this, a stranger named Adam tries to approach Johnny and gives him a chance to actually be separated from Zarathos once more, and after thinking it over a few days, he finally gives in. To which we get our first and thus far only canon female Ghost Rider outside of a few extra ones here and there, named Alejandra. She manages to run around on her own special for a little while before Johnny shows up and takes Zarathos back, as Zarathos is obviously becoming too powerful for her to control, and she's new to this whole Ghost Rider thing, whereas Johnny has been up to this since the 70s. So he's got a little bit of skill in handling this issue and takes back the demon, in order to better seal it away and not let it run amok like poor Alejandra had it. After Alejandra's short-lived appearance, we then get a new Ghost Rider, and this, I might add, is the Ghost Rider we're actually trying to talk about today. This is Robbie Reyes. He is a Mexican-American young man, and he is a big racing car enthusiast as well as a shop mechanic. He does these things for a living and does underground racing as an aside to try and keep money for himself and his family. However, when he gets his hands on one particular interesting looking vehicle, he is suddenly being chased down by the mafia and is shot. However, before he could die, there's a spirit that actually possessed the car that gives Robbie the chance to come back, and thus combines with Robbie to become the newest Ghost Rider. As there are more details to this, but obviously I don't want to spoil everything, just like the other previous Ghost Riders here, so we'll cut it right there. So, here's the explanation. It's not Johnny Blaze. It's not Danny Ketch. It is Robbie Reyes. He is the most recent Ghost Rider, and his main vehicle of choice is a car. A big racing car with fire tires and fire spewing out of the motor. And while the images look interesting so far, I will have to add that I don't quite like the look of the rider, at least not yet. It might not be finished, as far as I'm aware, but that does not look like Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider. That looks like someone's halfway attempting to try and do either Danny or Johnny again. For some reason, I couldn't tell you why they're trying to do Danny or Johnny again, because that's Robbie's jacket and pants, but that's not his skull. In fact, the description for Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider is that it looks to be a man with a racing helmet on, with flames that are coming out of the helmet. Which, again, gives me kind of a Kamen Rider vibe, so why they went with a car instead of a bike, I don't know. This could have actually caught on a lot more to Japanese if people have made it a bike. But again, there's also been a couple of Kamen Riders I'm aware of, too, that didn't actually all have motorcycles either, so to each their own, I suppose. But the long and short of it is, guys, this is the modern Ghost Rider. This is the newest guy to pick up the mantle. He has actually apparently bumped into Johnny once or twice now already, too, and has convinced Johnny that he's not a bad guy, that he's in control of the rider, and that he is continuing to battle the forces of evil like one ought to. And yes, it's not the spirit of Zarathos and someone else. Johnny still technically has Zarathos hidden away inside of him, which means that Johnny can still technically be part of this, but he's not going to be the main Ghost Rider in this particular story. The only thing I'm actually worried about with what we've been seeing so far is what the actual final effect of the rider is going to look like, because that does not look like a biker's helmet on fire. That looks like an actual skull more to me, and it looks kind of like a meh skull, which then again lends the idea and credibility to the fact that maybe this is just an unfinished effect and it's just a quick image of what they have planned so far. They're still not finished with it yet, which is very probable, but then why would you release an unfinished thing, you know? That'd be my question, but that's the worst of it, honestly. It's not going to be Danny, and it's not going to be Johnny. It's the newest guy, and it's not And it's not going to be Alejandra, obviously, because she had such a small role. If she wasn't there, she would maybe make a small cameo alongside Johnny, because he pretty much saved her ass, and I don't know if there's actually any more attachment since then, because Johnny's on his own right now. For those of you who don't know, he's kind of lonering it again. Let's just say that Johnny died. And that's not a spoiler, because that's the way the comeback starts off, is with him in hell trying to escape, and that's why he brings Satan into the real world. Because I would assume that he's not the only one that might have passed away. But anyway, don't want to go too deep into it, just that Robbie Reyes. That is why the Ghost Rider has a car. Because Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider has a car. Worry about the real things to worry about, folks. Don't worry about the Ghost Rider, because they are at least doing the modern one right so far. Again, just worried about that helmet. Anyway, that's all for right now, and I don't want to sit here just rambling in circles, so I'll see you all next time. And if you enjoy the show, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, keep up with the show, and if this gets enough likes, maybe I'll continue looking through the comic books. We are looking at Danny Ketch if we actually come back to it. Up to you guys. See you all next time.